Live, coming to you live from Los Angeles once again. I am Mike check 1 2. Very glad to be home. It was a long week traveling in Chicago and New York. I got myself some new clothes, and the people at the airport took my hair product away from me. My leave-in conditioner, my Moroccan oil leave-in conditioner was seized by the people at Homeland Security at the airport. But here we are, reading more of House of Leaves by Danielewski. Still working on the pronunciation, but I tell you, from carrying this the entire week, I have to say, what a testament to my own commitment to reading. I read in LAX last week before I jetted off for the week, and I brought the book with me in my not my checked bag, my carry-on. It's a nice workout. It's a nice book. Let's get on with it here. Page 91, coming at you. In light of this new development and in preparation for Exploration 4, Tom makes several trips into town to purchase more fishing line, neon markers, and anything else that can serve to mark the team's path. Since Holloway's plan is to spend at least 5 nights inside, Tom also picks up extra food and water. On one of those excursions, he takes Daisy and Chad along. No Hi8 records their trip, but the way Chad and Daisy relate to their mother, the details of their shopping spree reveals how fond they have become of their uncle. Unfortunately, Tom also has to buy a ticket back to Massachusetts. With the exception of a few weeks in July, he has not worked in over 3 months. As Tom explains to Karen and Davison, the time's come for me to put ass in gear and get on with my life. He also tells them the time has come for them to conduct the media and find a new house. Originally, Tom had intended to leave right after Exploration 3, but when Davison begs him to stay through Exploration 4, he agrees. Reston also sticks around. He had briefly considered taking a leave of absence from the university, but managed instead to somehow arrange for a week off, despite the fact that it is late September and that the fall semester has already begun. He and Tom both live at the house, Tom in the study, Reston crashing on the pullout in the living room, while Holloway, Jed, and Wax, at least up until Exploration 4, stay at the local motel. From all the clips leading up to Exploration 4, we can see how both Davison and Holloway expect to gain a great deal of fame and fortune. Even if Holloway's team does not reach the bottom of the staircase, both men agree their story will guarantee them national attention as well as research grants and speaking opportunities. Holloway's company will more than likely thrive, to say nothing of the reputations of all those involved. This kind of talk, on the day before Exploration 4 is scheduled to start, actually manages to bring Davison and Holloway a little closer together. There is still a good deal of unspecified tension between them, but Holloway warns and discusses the success, especially to the idea of, to use Davison's words, going down in history. Perhaps Holloway imagines himself joining Davison's world, what he perceives as a place for the esteemed, secure, remembered. Nevertheless, these short clips do not show what these clips do not show is the paranoia growing within him. As we are well aware, future events will ultimately reveal how much Holloway feared Davison would get rid of him and thus deprive him of the recognition he had spent a lifetime trying to obtain. The recognition the house seems to promise. Of course, Karen will have nothing to do with such talk. Upon hearing what the men are discussing, she angrily withdraws to the periphery of the house. She clearly despises anything that might suggest a longer, more protracted relationship with the oddities of their home. Daisy, on the other hand, keeps close to Davison, picking at tiny scabs on her wrist, always sitting on her father's shoulders, or when that proves impossible, on Tom's. Chad turns out to be the most problematic. He spends more and more time outside by himself, and that afternoon returns home from school with a bruised eye and a swollen nose. Davison breaks off his conversation with Holloway to find out what happened. Chad, however, refuses to speak. Holloway, for his part, does not permit these domestic tensions, and concomitant stresses to distract him from the preparations. The even oblique, far as to suggest that operation would in fact be a far more appropriate word than exploration. Very good. Holloway, in many ways, remembers the conscientious medical practitioner in pre-op. Take, for example, how meticulously he reveals his team's supplies the evening before, what I like to call Operation Number 4. He makes sure flashlights are all securely mounted on helmets and that high eights properly attached to the chest harnesses. He personally checks, rechecks, packs, and repacks all the tents, sleeping bags, thermal blankets, chemical heating packs, food, water, and first aid kits. Most of all, he confirms that they have ample amounts of neon markers, light sticks, 12 hours, ultra high intense light sticks, 5 minutes, spools of 4-pound test, 130-yard mono fragmented fishing line, flares, extra flashlights, including a pumper light, hand generator, extra batteries, extra parts for the radios, and one altimeter, which is like a compass, will fail to function. There you go. Robbie's medical analogy may be a little misguided, but the emphasis on Holloway's deliberate and careful planning reminds one of the technical demands required in this journey, whether an operation or exploration. After all, spending a night in an enclosed, lightless place is very uncommon, even in the world of caving. The La Culia Crystal Cavern in New Mexico is one exception. Typically, leech visits last 24 to 36 hours. Holloway, however, expects to take at least 4, possibly 5 nights exploring the spiral staircase. Despite the detailed preparations and Holloway's infectious determination, everyone is still a little nervous. 5 nights is a long time to remain in freezing temperatures and complete darkness. No one knows what to expect. Though Wax puts his faith in Jed's unerring sense of direction, Jed admits to some pre-exploration apprehensions. How can I know where to go when I don't know where we are? I mean, really, where is that place in relation to here, to us, to everything? Where? Holloway tries to make sure everyone stays as busy as bees, and in an effort to keep them focused, creates a simple set of priorities. We're taking pictures, we're collecting samples, we're trying to reach the bottom of the stairs. Who knows, if we do that, then maybe we will even discover something before the Davison starts all the hoopla involved with raising money and organizing large-scale explorations. Jed and Wax both nod, unaware of the darker implications inherent in what Holloway has just uttered. As Gavin Young later writes, who could have predicted that those 2 words, discover something, would prove the seeds of such unfortunate destruction? The problem, of course, was that the certain something, Holloway, so admittedly sought to locate, never existed per se in that place to begin with. Unlike Exploration 1 through 3, the Exploration 4, Holloway decides to take along his rifle. When Davidson asks him what the hell he plans to shoot, Holloway replies, just in case. By this point, Davidson has settled on the belief that the persistent growl is probably just a sound generated when the house alters its internal layout. Holloway, however, is not at all in accordance with the assessment. Furthermore, as he pointedly reminds Davidson, he is the team captain and the one responsible for everyone's safety. With all due respect, since I'm also the one actually going in there, your notions don't really hold much water with me. Wax and Jed do not object. They are accustomed to Holloway carrying some sort of firearm. The inclusion of the weather by hardly causes them any concern. Jed just shrugs. Wax, though, proves a little more fractious. I mean, what if you're wrong? He asks Davidson. What if that sound, not from the walls shifting, but coming from something else, some kind of thing? You want to leave us defenseless? Davidson drops the subject. The question of weapons aside, another big point of concern that comes up in the communication. During Exploration 3, the team discovered just how quickly all their transmissions deteriorated without a cost-effective way to rectify the problem. Obviously, buying thousands of feet of audio cable would be impossible. Holloway settled the issue by simply announcing that they should just plan on losing radio contact by the first night. After that, it'll be 4 or 5 days on our own. No, not ideal, but we'll manage. That evening, Holloway, Jed, and Wax move from their motel and camp out in the living room with Reston. Davidson briefs Holloway for the last time on the most effectuous way to handle the cameras. Jed makes a brief call to his fiancée in Seattle and then helps Reston organize the sample jars. Tom, in an effort to cheer up the bruised and unnaturally quiet Chad, unwinds up, reading both him and Daisy a long bedtime story. Somehow, Wax ends up alone with Karen. If Holloway's hand on Karen had upset Davidson, it is hard to imagine what his reaction would have been had he walked in on his particular moment. However, when he finally did see the tape, so much had happened, and Davidson, by his own admission, felt nothing. I'm surprised, I guess, he says in the last interview, but there's no rage, just regret. I actually laughed a little. I'd been watching Holloway all the time, feeling insecure by this guy's strength and courage and all that, and I never even thought about the kid. He shakes his hand. He shakes his head. Anyway, I betrayed her when I went in there for the first time, and so she betrayed me. People always say, how two people were meant for each other. Well, we weren't, but somehow we ended up together anyway and had 2 incredible children. It's too bad. I love her. I wish I didn't have to turn out like this. The clip of Karen and Wax did not appear in the first release print of the Davidson record, but apparently was edited in a few months later. Miramax never commented on the inclusion, nor did anyone else. It is a little strange Karen did not erase the tape in the wall-mounted camcorder. Perhaps she forgot it was there or planned to destroy it later. Then again, perhaps she wanted Davidson to see it. Regardless of her intentions, the shot catches Karen and Wax alone in the kitchen. She picks at a bowl of popcorn. He helps himself to another beer. Their conversation circles tediously around Wax's girlfriends, intermediately returning to his desire to get married someday. Karen keeps telling him that he is young, he should have fun, keep living, stop worrying about settling down. For some reason, both of them speak very softly. On the counter, someone has left a copy of the map. Davison drew following explorations A. Karen occasionally glances over at it. Did you do that? She finally asks. Nah, I can't draw. Oh, she says, letting the syllable hang in the air like a question. She shrugs. Wax shrugs. I actually don't know who made it. I thought you did. Old Navy man did. Based on the film, it is impossible for us to tell if Holloway, Jed, or Wax were ever explicitly told not to mention to Karen Davison's illegal excursion. Wax, however, does not seem to recognize any trespass in his admission. Karen does not look at the map again. She just smiles and takes a sip of Wax's beer. Then they continue talking, more about Wax's girl troubles. Another round of don't worry, keep living, you're young. And then out of nowhere, Wax leans over and kisses Karen on the lips. It lasts less than a second and clearly shocks her. But when he leans over and kisses her again, she does not resist. The fucking Jezebel, how dare she? In fact, the kiss turns into something more than a kiss. Karen's hunger almost exceeding Wax's, but he knocks over his beer in an effort to get still closer. Karen pulls away, glances once at the liquid spilling onto the floor, and quickly walks out of the room. Wax starts to follow her, but he realizes before she takes a second step that the game is already over. He cleans up the mess instead. A few months later, Davison saw the kiss. By that time, Karen was gone all along with everyone else. Nothing mattered. And that's some bad boy. That's some bad boy stuff right there. Bad boys and girls. There's this little bit here that I didn't get to read or realize that I was supposed to read, so we'll read it now. Which is not literally a good response. And changing the details or changing the subject can be just the same as refusing to speak. I guess I've been guilty of those two things for a long time. Now, especially the first one, always shifting, always reshifting details, something out of the edges, removing the corners, colorizing the whole thing, or if need be, decolorizing, sometimes flying in a whole chorus or cartoon characters, complete with slapstick biff, bam, pow, antics, this time leaving the blam, which may have some appeal. Can't underrate the amusement factor there, even though it's so far from the truth. It might as well be a cartoon because it certainly isn't what happened. No Bugs Bunny there, no Thumper, no Biff, no Bam, no Pow. Either no nothing of any kind. Ah, fuck. Now I know exactly where I'm going. A place I've already managed to avoid twice. The first time with a fictive tooth improv. The second time with that quick dart north to Santa Cruz. And the troubles of a girl I barely know. Though here I am again, right at this moment too, again heading straight for it, which I suppose I could still resist. I am resisting, maybe not. I mean, I could always just stop, do something else, lighten up a joint, get swollen on booze. In fact, doing virtually anything at all aside from this would keep me from relating the real story behind my broken tooth, though I don't know if I want to. Not relate what story I mean, not anymore. I actually think it would do me some good to tell it, but it's down here, at least some of it, so I can see the truth of it, see the details, revisit that taste, that time, and maybe reevaluate or re-understand or I don't know. Besides, I can't always burn it when I'm done. After my father died, I was shipped around to a number of foster homes. I was troubled wherever I went. No one went No one knew what to do with me. Eventually, though, it did take a while, I ended up with Raymond and his family. He was a former Marine with, as I've already described, a beard rougher than a horse hide and hands harder than horn. He was also a total control freak. No matter the means, no matter the cost, he was going to be in control, and everyone knew if push came to shove, he was as likely to die for it as he was to kill for it. I was 12 years old. What I did know, I pushed. I pushed all the time. Then one night, late at night, much closer to dawn than dusk, while I still gathered outside along the window frames and tessellated walks, I woke up to find Raymond squatting on my bed, wearing his black dirt covered boots, chewing on a big chunk of beef jerky, jabbing me in the face with his fingers, murdering all remnants of sterno or park dreams. Beast, he said when he was satisfied, sleep was completely dead. Let's get an understanding going. You're not really in this family, but you're living with this family. Been living us for nearly a year. So what does that make you? I did not answer. A smart move. That makes you a guest, and being a guest means you act like a guest, not like some kind of barnyard animal. If that doesn't suit you, then I'll treat you like an animal, which you'll have to suit you. What I'm saying about your behavior don't just go for here either. It goes for at school too. I don't want no more problems. You clear? Again. You clear? Again, I don't say anything. He leans closer, forcing on me that rank smell of meat clinging to his teeth. If you understand that, then you and I aren't going to cross no more. Which was all he said, though he squatted there on my bed for a while longer. The next day, I fought in the schoolyard until my knuckles were bloody. And then I fought the following day and the day after that. A whole week. 15 faceless assailants racing after me right when school rang out. Mostly eighth graders, but a few ninth graders too, always bigger than me, telling me no seventh grader newcomer ever gets say back, but I always said back. I bounced all of it right back off whenever they gave me even the slightest bit of shit. And they finally hurt me for doing it. Hurt me enough to make me give up and die. Just curl up and cry, kicking the ground. My face all puffy, balls bashed, ribs battered, though something would always just pick me up from that fetal hold. Maybe in the end, it was all the nothing I had to hold, and it would throw me again after whoever was winning or just wanted to go next. After the 10th fight, something really poisonous got inside me and turned me off all the pain. I didn't even register a hit or a cut anymore. I heard the blow, but it never made it far enough along my nerves for me to feel. As if all the feel matters had blown. So I just kept hacking back, spending everything I was against, and I still don't know. This one kid, he must have been 14 too, hit me twice and figured I was down for good. I crawled up his face pretty bad. Bad enough for the blood to get into his eyes, and I didn't think he expected it was ever going to get that bad. I mean, there were revolts in his parka and a lot of the snow. He kind of froze up, frightened, I guess. I don't know, but I apparently fractured his jaw and loosened a couple of his teeth then. Split 3 of my knuckles, too. Gloves were not an option in this kind of fighting. Anyway, he's the kid that got me expelled, but since the fight had taken place after school, it took all of the next day for the administration to put the pieces together. In the meantime, I fought 3 more times. Right at noon resource, friends of the ninth grader came after me. I couldn't punch too well with the broken knuckles, and they kept pushing me down and kicking me. Some teachers finally pulled them off, but not before I got my thumb in one of those kids' eyes. I heard he had blood in it for weeks. When I got home, Raymond was waiting for me. His wife had called him at the site and told him what had happened. Over the last week, Raymond had seen bruises and cuts on my hands, but since the school hadn't called and I wasn't saying anything, he didn't say anything either. No one asked me what happened. Raymond just told me, get in the truck. I asked him where we were going. Even a question from me made him mad. He yelled at his daughters to go in their rooms. I'm taking you to the hospital, he finally whispered. But we didn't go directly to the hospital. Raymond took me somewhere else first, where I lost half my tooth and a lot more too, I guess, on the outskirts, in an ice-covered place, surrounded by barbed wire and willows, where moments of rust seldom touched, lie frozen alongside the fence post, and no one ever comes near enough to hear the hawks cry. All right, well, okay. Well, next time, Chapter 7, Rock and Roll. Looking fun. That was powerful stuff. Powerful stuff tonight. Wax-kissed Karen, huh? All right, guys. I will see you again soon. Thanks for watching. If you want to follow me on Cam Soda, you know, I'm live 24/7. Got 2 cameras, one with full audio capabilities. And then I have a new film coming out every week. I'm editing. That's what I do. I spend 12 to 16 hours a day editing Monday to Friday. But yeah, I'll be live tomorrow morning on my other channels doing my core conditioning. That's the music from the Mondrian you can hear in the background. And I trust that you like my new clothes and this new setup. I'll be reading more tomorrow. Next week, more of House of Leaves. Good luck. God bless. To be continued. You got to why?